All right, everybody. Aaron Breitman, the Scarlet Faithful. A little bit after Rutgers took care of business and knocked off Maryland 64-50. Listen, they. I was more nervous about this game than I was the Purdue game, simply because the Purdue game they had nothing to lose. This game, was all about building momentum from that win. We've been here before, not obviously being number one. Well, last year they beat number one and they lost to Seton Hall. But how many times have we seen Rutgers with a big win and not be able to capitalize on it the next game? And I thought that this was an opportunity for a growth moment for the program, for this team. And I thought they showed a lot of maturity tonight. It wasn't their best offensive performance. It wasn't their worst either. I mean, they averaged over it was 1.05 points per possession, which is a little bit above average, not terrible. And they held, again, the defense elite, held Maryland to I think 0.85 points per possession. Held them to 50 points, held them to 41% shooting, forced 20 turnovers. But I thought the maturity of this team, I didn't expect them to have a great offensive night. They only shot like 45%, which is, for Rutgers isn't bad. But they took care of business at the free throw line, 12 of 14 from the line. They hit 6 threes again. Again, they're not shooting a high percentage, but if you can make 5 to 6 threes a game, if you can hit your free throws with this elite defense, it's going to make them very hard to beat. If their offense can show up to a point, which it is, not a great offense, but not they're more consistent. And I thought, they didn't look themselves in the first half. I thought they got that big lead, 15-4, and then they weren't sharing the basketball great. And then the second half, you saw it, the identity of this team. Again, they're still figuring things out. They're still evolving as a team. And Paul Mulcahy, once again, took over. When he looks to score, when he takes control, this team is going to be very hard to beat. He led them with 15 points, 6 of 6 from the floor. His ability to get downhill, I think, he's not just backing down his defender anymore. He's beating guys off the dribble. And I think that is not an adjustment, but a kind of an evolution of his game that is making him more effective. I think he's, again, playing with more confidence. He's finally, he's still battling, I think, the shoulder injury is a bit of a, but he's getting into the flow of the season, and his confidence is high, and he's the true leader of this team. And what I loved most about his performance was when he took that really hard flagrant foul from Julian Reese, basically got, clotheslined into the basket. And you saw for a split second, he was raging inside. And then the way he was able to capture his emotion, calm down, and not only calm himself down, but calm the rest of the team down. And he pulled everybody over and he huddled them up. That to me was just such a great, maturity from Mulcahy, but just a step forward, not just for him, but for this team. To have a guy like him who's so passionate, plays so hard, wants to win so bad, but now has that kind of the leadership on the floor and the calmness about him, and his ability to kind of guide the team through adversity is a step forward for him in his career. I've talked about it a bunch. And I said it before the season. I thought one of the keys of this team's ceiling would be Paul Mulcahy's maturity and leadership. And I think that tonight, when he took that big hit, and it was pretty rough. I thought it might be a flagrant 2. It was just a flagrant 1. But the way he handled that just showed the growth in his game and his just his mindset, his growth as a leader. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it just showed that I think that he is taking this team under his wing, and the team is better off for it. You saw Cam Spencer, again, show up, really balanced. Didn't have the best shooting night, but he made 3 threes. He shot, it was 3 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3, which is huge. He had 5 assists, 3 steals. He just, steady. He was steady Eddie tonight. He made a couple of mistakes there at the end. He's gonna be kicking himself for that when the ball went off his foot. But even at the end there with the three, when he got, or it was a two, the shot clock was widening down, and he lost his dribble there a little bit too, and he had the IQ, the smartness to lean in and draw the foul. It's a crafty team. Okay, he's a crafty point guard who's still evolving as a player. Cam Spencer is a crafty player. McConnell is, always been a glue guy. He got 10 points tonight. He's a better secondary offensive option. I think this team as an offense is evolving. Mulcahy and Spencer need to be the leads. McConnell is good enough to be listen, if he could be a third scorer at 10 points a game, I mean, you got to love that. I know people are concerned about Cliff. I got a lot of tweets during the game. What's happening with him offensively? He only took 4 shots, 1 of 4 from the floor. I do think that, Rutgers needs to maybe, not maybe, but they need to work on how to get him more involved offensively. But at the same time, what I love about Cliff is that he was very engaged in the game. He wasn't sulking. He wasn't. I thought he could be more assertive going into the game in terms of taking over inside. I didn't think Maryland would have much of an answer for him. But the game didn't flow like that, and he was very much invested. He had 3 blocks. I think he finished with 13 rebounds. He was a contributor in ways other than scoring, and that's what they need from him. They need that maturity from him. I just thought I keep saying maturity, but I thought as a team, it really was a very mature performance. It wasn't their best performance, but they won pretty handily. I mean, they had the game when Maryland cut it to 4 points, 34-30, with about 14 minutes to go. They took over the game, and that's what good teams do. They outscored them, I guess, 30-20 down the stretch. But they stretched the lead to as much as, I believe, 17 at one point, 18. And Maryland cut it down. Maryland, I think, hit at one point 8 of 11 threes down the stretch, and they still lost by 14 points. So dominant win over. I don't think Maryland's a bad team. I think they'll finish somewhere between maybe like 8 and 10 in the Big Ten. It was great to get a win over Kevin Willard, but it was like not even, it was almost like this game was a little bit of ho-hum, which honestly is great because after the win on Monday, I was just, they had to get this win. It didn't matter how they won tonight. They just needed to get the win. They needed to continue to build momentum. You're 3-1 now in the Big Ten. I think the league's wide open. This team's identity is kind of cementing now. And it's the toughness. At the end of the day, for me, it's the toughness of this team that makes them special. And it ties to their chemistry, their togetherness, the way they're connected, defensively, the way they share the basketball, offensively. It's you're not going to have many off nights when you're that connected as a team. When you like playing with each other, when you're hungry, when you have guys like Cam Spencer, who hasn't experienced success at Rutgers, when you have, Derek Simpson gave him good minutes off the bench tonight. I think he scored 6 points, but he gave him a little bit of a lift. Andre Hyatt, I mean, that's a guy that has accepted his role coming off the bench. He started the first few games of the season. He was scoring in double figures. He's not sulking. When he comes out on the floor, he plays hard as anyone. I know people complain that he's not the most efficient shooter, but again, he had 2 threes tonight. He had 8 points off the bench. He's playing really good defense. He's rebounding. I think he's an underrated, contributor to this team and what he's bringing. I think the attitude of this team, the attitude of everybody accepting their roles are still developing, but everyone just wants to win. They want to win. And I think Andre Hyatt is a great example of a player that is very important for this team. And that he's seen his role kind of evolve as this year has gone on, change. And again, he's not going to be a knockdown shooter, but he's willing to take the shot. He's a winner. He's a guy you need on a winning team that isn't going to back down to the opponent, that isn't, going to shy away from having to step up in a big moment. He's not going to be afraid to lock down somebody and shut him down defensively. He is he's a really key piece to Rutgers. And him accepting his role coming off the bench, I think, is an underrated storyline so far. I think that, Mag played better tonight. People were concerned about Woolfolk, and people were waiting for a Reber moment. Reber gave us a moment tonight. Only played 3 minutes. Woolfolk only played 3 minutes. I think part of that is just Cliff playing a lot tonight and staying out of foul trouble. But Reber, gave him a spark as well, which is great. I mean, think about that. I mean, a guy that, has lost his role from last year and has stayed focused and was able to contribute tonight. He was able to contribute at the end of the Purdue game with the inbounding. He defended the inbounder and he was, jumping as high as he possibly could. So everyone's playing their role. Everyone's locked in. Everyone is moving forward towards a common goal. And, I don't think they're peaking. I think that offensively they have a lot of room to grow, but I think that they're developing their identity. And I think we know that they're at their best when Paul Mulcahy takes things under control and dictates the offense and looks to score. It opens things up. Spencer is getting opportunities in space outside. I think Caleb is forcing things a little bit less and taking what the defense gives him. Yes, Cliff, want to get him more involved offensively. But like I said, we're in early January here. This team is still developing. They're 3-1 in the Big Ten. They've won 5 games in a row. They're 11-4 now. Their metrics are off the charts. Their net, is 15 coming in. Their Ken Palm was 16. Their net was 14 coming in. Ken Palm was 16. So, listen, they're in a very good position right now. They just have to keep it going. Sunday is a huge game as well. Close out this week 3-0. Set the tone. Make a statement. Be 4-1 at the end of this week, going into next week. Which won't be easy, at Northwestern and Ohio State at home. Two not easy games at all. There's no easy game in the Big Ten, but Sunday's a game they should win. They're better than Iowa. Iowa is struggling. You need to take that game at home and hold serve. This was a big test tonight. I thought on 2 days rest, they passed it with flying colors. They don't need to play their best offensively every night to win. With this defense, when this defense is so elite, the way they're playing, it's just it gives them a kind of curve against other teams that teams are starting behind the start line, so to speak. If Rutgers can play this consistently defensively, they rebounded relatively well tonight. Maryland held their own. Maryland has struggled offensively, but they played really hard tonight. So Rutgers took their shot, and Maryland's punch, and Rutgers responded. So need to close out the week, need to get through this, on Sunday. But very encouraging night, huge win, just in terms of keeping things going, building off of Monday's victory. And, as a Rutgers fan, you can't help but not be excited. So ScarletFaithful.com, new look. I got a post coming up just explaining all the changes. Hope you like it. I think it's a much better version of what we started with. And check us out at thescarletfaithful.com. Appreciate you listening and watching once again.